SportsCenter on the Road is presented by Geico as we welcome you to South FLA. And halfway through that third period, the fans here were chanting, "We want the cup." And the Florida Panthers now halfway there. Did you see this kind of outcome coming after the first couple games?
I had my crystal ball here like Madame Cleo in the pregame, and there was no way that I could have felt any vibes that this would have been what we saw here.
Simply amazing. Let's go to all the not-so-pretty pictures if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan. And getting ready, the first game back in South Florida in the Cup Final. Miami Heat forward Bam Adebayo banging the Panthers drum pregame. First minute of the game, Panthers win the faceoff. Anton Lundell to Brad Marchand, this third line for Florida. Wow.
Third line playing like a first line, getting the party started. Watch Marchand spin off a coverage, fade away, and then he puts that home to get this party started down here in South Florida.
Get a goal early on, first minute of the first period, keeping that crowd very much alive. Then later in the period, Panthers on the power play. Another slew of penalties in the first period. Carter Verhaeghe picking that spot. Wow.
Perfect shot there by Verhaeghe, and the Panthers would attack from that left circle and score several goals from there as this game went on. But that's a goal in any league. He's playing the xylophones there.
Marchand saying to the Oilers, "What are you guys thinking about? You might want to stay out of the box." Early in the second, here's an Edmonton power play, and Evan Bouchard finds, is it Scory Perry?
That is Scory Perry. You know that's my league, so
40
I'm glad you got it in.
It's a hockey game. It's 2-1, Weekes.
It is 2-1. Great play by Bouchard to Scory Perry, and he's fired up right now. That's a nice play.
All right, just over a minute later, same score. Watch Alexander Barkov, the Panthers captain, hits Klingberg, forced the turnover. Verhaeghe to Sam Reinhart.
You got to take hits to make plays, and Klingberg takes a hit, but he just gets bullied off the puck. That forces his turnover. I told you that side of the ice the Panthers were able to jump on, and they certainly did there.
Really seemed like the game was over at that point, 3-1. Watch Sam Bennett here.
Ram.
The hit on Podkolzin, then hits Klingberg, forces a turnover, and Bennett's going to get the puck on the breakaway. If it seems like Bennett and Marchand score every game, that's because they do.
They do. Look at this hit. Ram, there's one. Ram, there's a second one. Both in the defensive zone. Now springing forward to his breakaway leads. 14 goals so far in the playoff for Sam Bennett.
Only 2 on home ice.
Only 2 on home ice.
So he gets one there. Then Connor McDavid skating through the neutral zone. Nothing easy for the Oilers. Bam, Aaron Ekblad lays him out.
Unreal hit by Ekblad. This is the way you want to gap up and defend the top players. Clean check, but a hard physical check. This is textbook by Aaron Ekblad. That's a tape right there. Well done.
McDavid did go to the room shortly, but he's a hockey player, and of course he would return. On to the third now. And look, I mean, this is old school, buddy. 122 combined penalty minutes in the third period alone. And it was all Florida in every way, 6-1. So let's go back to the first 2 games that were in Edmonton. People were talking about this is the greatest start to a Stanley Cup final in recent memory. There were periods of domination, but the totality of the first 2 games was extremely even. Mm-hmm. And this was a blowout from the end of, Canada.
Yeah, DJ Khaled set the tone.
Yes, he did.
He said, "We the best." He kept saying it in the building, and the Panthers certainly showed that right from the outset. Brad Marchand in the third line that you talked about, they've been dominant. They literally get on the board so quickly here just to set the tone for this game. Clutch once again. Marchand and his line mates dominant. Little fadeaway shot there to get it started and leaves right from there. They literally just stepped on the gas, and this was all gas, no brakes this game. Look at the shot by Verhaeghe here.
Panthers were snapping it around, and the mighty Oilers just seemed helpless.
They seemed helpless, and they seemed a little bit listless, which is hard to figure. The Panthers, not only did they have the skill, but the fact that they play hard. Now watch them hounding pucks, forcing turnovers, which leads to this goal by Reinhart here.
Yeah, Edmonton completely lost their cool, undisciplined throughout the game, and that led to many of the penalties. Again, as we are reminded, this is a rematch of the Stanley Cup Final from 1 year ago. Florida Panthers went on to win the first 3 games of that series. Remember, Florida had a 3-1 lead in game 1 of this series. It could be 3-0 again, but it's not. And then Connor McDavid a year ago, after the Oilers were going sideways, went on an infamous rant that was overheard from the Edmonton dressing room in this building.
Right now. Right now. Right now. not ideal, but it's happened so many times. But that's not good enough. It's the finals. Dig the in right now. Whatever the you have. That is not good enough.
Weeksy, Connor McDavid and the Oilers are in the same dressing room, right in that same spot. Difference is after 3 games. That was after 2 a year ago. I don't know if McDavid rips the paint off the wall again or says something else or somebody else, but what does Edmonton to do to get back into the series now?
Well, I got to think that Connor McDavid is going to speak in the dressing room, maybe him and Leon Draisaitl, and they realize the magnitude of what's at stake. This is their opportunity. Make no mistake, they don't have to play another game. They're Hall of Famers already, based on what they've done. But the elusive Stanley Cup, winning the Stanley Cup, it's the hardest trophy to win in pro sports, and we love all sports. We just saw Champions League the other day. We saw the Europa Cup with Cristiano Ronaldo in Portugal. This is the moment for those guys, and they can't let it slip away. They're down 1 game. They got absolutely blitzed and dominated in every facet of the game. I got to think that they're going to tear a strip off the guys in the dressing room.
It does feel like it's more than 1 game, but it is only down a game. Draisaitl, you mentioned, didn't have a single shot on goal in this game.
That's hard to fathom.
Quickly here, Calvin Pickard did replace Stuart Skinner in this game. Is that a momentary thing, or is that something you'd look to maybe a goaltending change for Coach Knobloch in Game 4?
I don't put this loss on Skinner. Everybody, there's a lot of blame to go around, but all options are on the table if I'm Coach Knobloch.
All right, and I don't know if it's better or worse for the Oilers. They got to hang around and sit around with the stink of this one in South Florida for 2 days. Game 4 of this series will not be played until Thursday, right back here in Sunrise, Florida.
Brad, you guys were total control of this one, start to finish. What led to that?
I thought we had a really good start, but they had a good push. I mean, they're a great team. They had a couple of really good opportunities, and after they got that power play goal, Rhino did a great job at extending the lead again. So I just liked their composure all the way through the game, but it was close early on, and we just did a good job sticking with it.
You said composure. Tension's high, 140 total penalty minutes, but you guys end up with an 11-6 edge in power play opportunities. So what allowed you guys to be so composed?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's just how it goes. And you just want to try to stick with it all game. And obviously when the score runs up a little bit, tensions get high. And sometimes we start it, sometimes they start it. But it's a lot of fun out there, so we're enjoying it.
All right, a lot of fun. You ready for this fun one?
Yeah.
You're now the first guy in Stanley Cup Final history to score a game-winning goal in overtime and then the first minute in the following game. So what is fueling this heater you're on?
That's just how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you get the bounces, sometimes you don't. It's, the thing that I love about this group is everyone has a moment where, they step up, and guys have done that so far. But just an incredible group to be part of, and I'm just enjoying the moment.
You seem to love being a Florida Panther. What's the best part about it?
Everything's great. I think the thing that I enjoy the most is I enjoy being around good people, and everyone on the team is great. They've embraced me from the moment I got here, and I obviously very competitive, and I love the environment that's been created here. It's competitive every day. I mean, with everything we do, while guys are working out, guys are competing in darts and competing on their bike scores and obviously competing on the plane, different games, and it's all the time. So when you're having fun, you're working hard, it makes those moments even better, and it's just a great group to be part of.
Well, keep enjoying it. Thanks for the time, Brad.
Thank you.
Brad Marchand, goal in Game 1, a shorty and an overtime game winner in Game 2, and then another goal to kick off the action in this one. At 37, he's the oldest guy to ever score in each of the first 3 games of a Stanley Cup Final. Let's get right back down to Florida, and we welcome in the national hockey writer, our NHL reporter, Emily Kaplan. Emily, this rout was a departure from the overtime affairs in Games 1 and 2. You got a chance to speak to the Panthers afterwards. What did they say was the biggest difference in this game tonight?
David, composure. I was just around the Panthers locker room. Those guys were laughing. They were joking. You would have no idea that they just came off one of the most tension-filled games of these playoffs. And it's their composure they're most proud of, because 140 penalty minutes, and they ended up with an 11-6 edge in power plays. And Matthew Tkachuk said he spoke to the players in the third period. They were all talking about it. He said, if you have to take a slash, take a slash. If you have to take a cross-check, take a cross-check. Whatever it takes, just be smart. And this is something that the Panthers have worked on over the last 2 years. They used to be known as the bad boys, always had these scrums after the whistles, always trying to drag other opponents into the fight. And Paul Maurice, the coach, really honed in on discipline last season, that they had to be smarter. And that's what led to their first Stanley Cup. And now, obviously, they're going for another.
And of course, we were treated to the sight of Brad Marchand tapping his helmet and sort of goading the Oilers on set. Like, you got to play with your head, guys. And I don't know how the sense is in that Edmonton locker room. We saw Connor McDavid from last year after Game 2, that rant he went on. What are you hearing from the Oilers about what happened tonight and how they move on from this?
Yeah, no idea if Connor McDavid went on another one of those rants behind closed doors. But when he presented himself to the media, there was a quiet composure and confidence about him. He said, and I quote, "Our best has not come in this series, but it's coming." And that's been McDavid's vibe these entire playoffs. Last year was such a saga. It was so drama-filled. Like, the season began with them playing so poorly they had to fire their coach, got into the playoffs, dug an 0-3 hole in this series, almost to get the reverse sweep in the Stanley Cup Final. And McDavid has talked about not riding that emotional roller coaster as much this year, and that they have a lot more calmness about them. And that's the vibe I got from them today, because I think now the narrative is, oh, the Panthers have this under control. But those Oilers know what they're capable of, and it all begins with their captain. This is the first game he didn't have ridiculous ice time figures, first game that didn't go to overtime. But we know penalty kill, power play, even strength, back checking. Connor McDavid is doing everything in his power to lead his team to a Stanley Cup, and he's hoping his teammates follow suit. Yeah, saw him get knocked off his skates at one point, left to get some attention there, but back on the ice later. So we'll see how the Oilers do, if they have a response here coming up in Game 4 on Thursday. Emily giving us the very latest from Sunrise.